Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Scott Perry, the GOP powerhouse that he is, does not hold back on Mayor Pete for his abysmal job performance and worse, what he does with electric vehicles.
Now, you've recently moved to Michigan, I understand it, and I just wonder what you have to say to Michiganders who feel the federal government is using their very tax dollars to destroy their industry and their jobs.
Well, one of two things is going to happen, Representative. Either the EV revolution is going to be made in China or it's going to be made in America.
So right now, it's destroying their jobs.
Is that we are working to make sure that it's made in America.
And it's being subsidized, which is destroying their jobs. So is your position that we're going to lose all these jobs, that's what has to happen, or China's going to build all these vehicles? Is that the position?
One of the reasons we've seen manufacturing jobs grow so much in this administration compared to the manufacturing recession under the last administration is that we're investing in American manufacturing.
You're investing with our money in things that we don't want. You realize that forcing car companies to make these vehicles at a loss, about $60,000 per vehicle sold, is damaging to the UAW's jobs. In fact, I'm going to just look at Ford. I hate to call them out, but their electric vehicle unit is expected to lose $4.5 billion this year, which is up from $2.1 billion in losses last year. There's a 92-day supply of electric vehicles, which is twice that of the current average of the internal combustion or traditional car. And I would just remind everybody that electric vehicles were one of the first vehicles on the market back in the early 1900s, but they were replaced by better technology then. Now, the average new vehicle transaction price is about, I don't know, I just heard one of my colleagues, $50,000. I got $48,763, which is up $10,000 since your boss became the president. The average used vehicle price is $26,510. Mr. Secretary, the people I work for, my bosses, can't afford what you're forcing on them. These are not market forces. This is the government funding the destruction of our own automotive industry. And I hope you know that approximately 2/3 of EV owners make over $100,000 a year. My bosses don't make that. I don't know if you can justify or how you justify forcing my constituents to pay for EVs and EV infrastructure for coastal elites and wealthy people, but somehow you do.
Well, I need to point out that wealthy people were specifically excluded from the Inflation Reduction Act.
Well, I just gave you the number. Do you dispute that 2/3 of EV owners are owned by people over 100,000 that make over 100,000? Did you dispute that?
Yeah, the first EVs, of course, were.
Do you dispute that?
No, but that number's going down.
Those are the facts. It doesn't matter if they're going down now.
Why were you
the folks
against
that
cutting
I
the price of
represent
EVs?
can't afford them today, sir.
Why were you against cutting their costs?
All these factors. I'm not against cutting their costs. The market should do it. But you want the government, you want my taxpayers to pay to cut the cost, which isn't cutting the cost.
If you were of the view,
subsidizing the cost.
respectfully, Congressman,
Sir,
if you were of the
all
view
these
that there should be
factors
no
combined,
subsidy to propulsion
all these
vehicles,
factors
then are you against
combined
oil and gas
mean
subsidies?
that for
You
every
believe that oil
EV
and gas
sold, sir,
subsidies
at a
should-
loss, that the cost of the, as my colleague on the other side, the gas-guzzling pickup truck is higher now to pay for the loss as you kill your administration, and you in particular kill the auto industry.
And he did. The current auto industry is dying because they tried to prop up and subsidize electric vehicles. Folks, the majority of electric vehicles run on lithium, I believe lithium-ion batteries. And one of the key components of that is cobalt. And the biggest cobalt mine in the world is owned by China, and it's in the middle of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which the United Nations keeps on screwing over and over and over again. These people are just screwed. If you take a look at the pictures of the people in the mines, you'll realize what slavery actually looks like. It is an abhorrent picture of just hell, for lack of a better word. It's just an awful place to work in, and they're forced into these conditions because the CCP is evil. And furthermore, for some insipid reason, rich white liberals think it's a good idea to mine cobalt, which, by the way, is one of the more dangerous materials that is found naturally in our periodic table of elements. They want these EVs because it makes them feel good about themselves. Hey y'all, I just wanted to give a shout out to my friends over at Colonial Metals Group. Their experts understand exactly what they're doing with gold, silver, and other precious metals, unlike our current leadership, which is giving us rampant inflation, terrible Federal Reserve policies, a president that doesn't know what planet he's on, and of course, an out-of-control Congress that won't stop spending. We have to figure out ways to keep our wealth safe. And the best way to do that is to go over to my friends at Colonial Metals Group, because their experts can help you diversify your portfolio, and they've got an amazing offer for first-time accounts. Free gold and silver IRA accounts, insured storage for 5 years, up to $7,500 in silver delivered directly to your home, and a safe to keep all that stuff in. So go over regardless and see what they can do for you, and protect your wealth and your future today. Now, back to regularly scheduled programming. Despite the fact that they're likely getting it from coal-powered plants. And after all, where do you think your electricity comes from? These people, for the most part, are morons. And it's a sad thing to think that they're both wealthy and in an ivory tower. It is a crying shame that these people control our political system and operations. They control an entire party. The Democrat Party caters everything that they do to rich white liberals. That's what they do. Because that's where the money is, that's where the power dynamic is shifted, and they screw over everyone that is not in that category. EVs are one of the ways to screw you over. Not because it's good for the environment, which it isn't. Not because it makes them feel good about themselves, but they're also totally afraid of the weather. The weather. These people think that they are enacting wonderful, good, wholesome change, and all they're doing is screwing over poor people who can't afford these vehicles. There's a reason that my family bought a Camry and then a Corolla, because they're cheap. They're cheap. We used to pay less than $20,000 for these sort of vehicles. Now we're having to pay over $60,000 for a Tesla? That's insane. And that's exactly what these ivory tower liberals think is the best idea for you. It is beyond insipid at this point. And it's an attempt to not only just feel good about themselves, but make sure that you are following their guidelines, because they can't fathom a world where people have less money than they do. That is how insular, that's how many bubbles we're in. And it's time to pop these bubbles, folks. These people need to understand that we're hurting out here. I can't afford an electric vehicle. All right? I wouldn't want one, but I can't afford one. I need a gas-powered vehicle that's going to get me from DC to Atlanta, back where my hometown is. Although my hometown isn't in Atlanta, thank God, but it is in the vicinity. I can't do that on an electric vehicle. I can't afford to wait that long on rail, and I can't spend the money for airplane. I need a vehicle that's going to get me from point A to point B. Electric vehicles can't do that, and likely will never be able to do that. But these people don't want to listen. Democrats don't want the solution to the problem. They just want to be angry about something, because it keeps their voter turnout higher. That's just the sad reality of this. And Pete Buttigieg is catering to these kinds of people, and Scott Perry's calling him out. All Pete Buttigieg can do is squirm in his seat and ramble a little bit when he feels that he can get a little bit of leeway. It's just sad. As a matter of fact, it's no longer sad, it's kind of sickening at this point. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed this segment here on Politibrol. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one, and until then, y'all have a good one.